Hi, I want to talk to you today about how to find out if a complete stranger is open to looking at an opportunity. Okay? See, folks, people in life do not like to be sold. Okay? Just think about it. If you walk into a department store and right away you're looking to buy something, all of a sudden a person comes up to you and says, "Hey, can I help you?" Right away we usually all say, "No, I'm just looking." Or think about it. If you're walking up the street one day and all of a sudden somebody's walking towards you and they got a briefcase and they're trying to sell you something, right away you're like, "I don't care what this person is selling, I'm not buying." People have a defense shield around them, okay? And people don't like to be sold. It's just the truth. So what you want to do is you do not want to sound like an annoying salesperson. You don't want to just rush up to a complete stranger and say, "Hey, I got a great company called Ambit Energy. We can make money and save people money." Folks, it doesn't work. You are going to scare people away. There's a different way to do it, and it works all the time. Or at least you're going to find out if people are open to looking at a presentation. Here's what I try to do. I try to meet a person, I try to start a conversation, I try to get the person to like me, and the most important thing is I try to get the person's defense shield down so I could talk to the person. I do not want to sound like an annoying salesperson. I use almost reverse psychology. I want the person to ask me, my whole objective here is for the person to ask me what I do for a living. All right, so I'm going to use an example. This is a true story. I'm at the park with my son a few years ago. I guess I'm a year or two into Ambit Energy. So I'm at the park with my son. He was probably 3 years old at the time. And we're at the park, and my son's going down the swings, and he's going on the slides, and all of a sudden another man walked in with his young son. And I didn't know the person, and yes, I want to talk about Ambit Energy. I'm excited about it. I want to share it with everybody. I don't want to go up to this complete stranger and say, "Hey, I got a great company called Ambit Energy, and we get people free energy. Do you want to make money?" I will scare that person away. I'll say, "No, I'm not interested," and probably never even talk to me again. That's not what I want to do. What I want to do is start a conversation with the person. And after a minute, the person actually started a conversation with me. He said, "Hey, you look familiar." And we were just talking, and we figured that we played in the same football league together years ago. So we started a conversation. And what I do is I talk, I ask questions, and I get responses. I want the person to ask me what I do for a living. And if they don't ask me what I do for a living, I'll eventually ask them, what do you do for a living? And they'll answer, and they'll say, "Well, what do you do?" So here's what I do. So this guy said, "Hey, you look familiar," and we started talking, and then I said, "Hey, how old is your boy?" "Oh, my boy is 4 years old." "How old is your son?" "Oh, he's 3 years old." "Does your son go to this school?" "No, he doesn't. He goes here." "Where does your son go to?" "Do you live around the area?" "Yeah, I live over here." "Where do you live?" And then he said to me, "Hey, what do you do with yourself?" And folks, every time, this is what I want. I want the person to ask me what I do for a living. This is a complete stranger. I want them to ask me what I do for a living. I always mention my current occupation first. Always mention what you currently do full-time first. So I said, "I own the ice cream store right around the corner, and I have a part-time energy business. So what do you do?" And he goes, "Energy business? Like what? Like windmill power, solar power?" "No, I help people get free electricity and free gas, and I get paid for it." "So what do you do?" He goes, "Hold on." He goes, "You mean to tell me that you get people free electricity and you get paid?" I said, "Yes, I do." And his eyes lit up. He pretty much was speechless, didn't know what to say. And I said, "Why? Do you keep your options open to new business opportunities, new ways to make money?" He goes, "Yeah, absolutely I do." I said, "Great, listen, I actually got to get my son back home, but here's my business card, my phone number on it. Do you happen to have a card with your number?" He goes, "I don't have a number, but I don't have a card, but I'll give you my phone number." I said, "Great, let me get my son home. I'll meet you later on tonight. I'll call you, and we'll set up a time." I met that guy later on that night, sat down with him, showed him a DVD. He became a consultant right on the spot that same night. Guys, this was a complete stranger to me. Started a conversation, talked, let it come up natural. He asked me what I did for a living. I mentioned I own an ice cream store. I have a part-time energy business. I love the word part-time. I use it. I teach it all the time. It works wonders. Mention your current occupation first, and you have a part-time energy business, and a lot of people are going to say, Energy business, part-time, what do you mean? Like windmill power, solar power? No, I help people get free electricity and free gas, and I get paid for it. So what do? And they're all going to come back because they're curious to find out more. You never hear somebody say part-time energy business. You might hear somebody say, I'm a part-time real estate agent. That's common. I do part-time construction work on the side. That's common. But nobody ever hears I have a part-time energy business. It's just to find out if people are open, if they're curious about it. Now, my poor son, we weren't at the park that long. I did take him out of there. There's a reason why. And I did take him to a different park to make it up to him. I did bring him for some ice cream at my store to make it up to him. But the reason why I did that is because at the park, it wasn't the proper place to give a presentation, because he would have started asking me more questions about this part-time energy business, and that's one thing we don't want to do. We don't want to go out there and talk and explain it. I want to get somebody to sit down for 30 minutes, look at a Success from Home magazine, a DVD presentation, and show them the presentation the proper way. So I remove myself from the park, met him later on that night in the proper setting, showed the presentation, and he became a consultant. So there's a right way and there's a wrong way. If I would have stayed at that park, he would have asked me question after question after question, and I would have gave him most of the information. And it's not the way we teach. It doesn't work. You have to see the presentation in full from start to finish. That's why I removed myself, and he became a consultant. I'll tell you another story. I was actually in my Carvel ice cream store 3 years ago. This is when I actually worked in my ice cream stores. Now I still own them, but I don't put as much time in. So I'm in my ice cream store 3 years ago, and it's Father's Day. It's the busiest day of the year. Father's Day is number 1. Mother's Day is number 2. We sell a ton of Fudgita Whales. So I'm actually in my ice cream store, and I see a familiar face walk in. I see a familiar face walk in, and yes, I haven't seen this guy, John, in 10 years. We went to the same intermediate school together. He went to one high school. I went to a different high school. We lost contact. So he walks into my ice cream store. And yes, I want to mention Ambit to him. But I don't want to say, hey, John, haven't seen you in 10 years. I got this great company called Ambit. We're giving people free energy and making money. I would scare him away, and he would probably leave my store. And I wouldn't get an ice cream sale out of the guy. What I did was I talked. I had a conversation. Now, John wasn't a stranger, but it's somebody who I haven't seen in a while, and I wanted to bring up Ambit in the conversation, but there's a right way. So all I did was I talked to John. Hey, John, you look great. How you been? Oh, I've been great. How you doing? So where you living these days? Oh, I live in this area. Where are you living? You have any kids? What's going on? Yeah, I have 2 boys. I got a boy and a girl. We're just talking, having a conversation, getting to build that trust again. All of a sudden, John says to me, he's actually now in my ice cream store. He says, hey, Mike, besides this ice cream store, what else are you doing with yourself these days? And I said, John, it's funny you shall ask. And I'm thinking this is too easy now. I said, it's funny you shall ask. I actually own this ice cream store. I have another ice cream store in the New area, but I have a part-time energy business. So what are you doing with yourself? And he goes, energy business? Like, what do you mean, like windmill power or solar power? I said, no, I help people get free electricity and free gas, and I get paid for it. So tell me, what are you doing with yourself? He goes, hold on. He goes, you mean to tell me you get people free electricity and free gas with Con Edison and National Grid, and you get paid? I said, yes, I do. And his jaw dropped to the floor. I get the same facial expression all the time. People just can't believe it. And then I say, why, John? Do you keep your options open at making additional income? He goes, yeah, of course I do. I said, listen, John, you see my line is out the door right now. I know it's Father's Day. You got to get back to your family. Here's my phone number on my business card. Do you happen to have a card with your number? He goes, no, I don't have a card, but let me give you my number. I said, let's meet up tomorrow. I met him tomorrow, sat down with John, showed him a Success from Home magazine and a DVD. John signed up on the spot. John is somebody I haven't seen in over 10 years. By talking and having a simple conversation, mentioning a part-time energy business, John became a consultant. John became an executive consultant in just over a year, who led me to another executive consultant, who now we actually have 2 more executive consultants on the way, all from talking to one person about a part-time energy business. So the first guy was a complete stranger. The second person, John, was a person I haven't seen in over 10 years, but I just talked. I had a conversation, and I let Ambit come naturally into the conversation. Do you see the difference? If you go out there and try to pitch people and sell people, people get defensive with that defense shield around them, and they'll never look at it. Talk to people. Get that defense shield down. Ask questions. Become friendly with people. Get people to like you. Have a conversation. Build some trust. And let them ask you what you do for a living. If they don't ask you, you say, well, what do you do for a living? They'll answer the question in common courtesy. They're going to say, well, what do you do? Always, always, always mention your current full-time occupation first, and then say, I have a part-time energy business. And you'll see how much curiosity it brings up from people. And all I say is, well, what is it? I help people get free gas and free electric, and I get paid for it. And it gets people interested. And the key is to get them to see the presentation. At the park was not the proper time to show a presentation. In an ice cream store with a line out the door, when John was in a rush to get back to his family, it wasn't the proper time. Exchanged phone numbers, got his number, met the person, showed a Success from Home magazine, and showed a DVD to each person, and they both joined on the spot. And it turned into two executives and a handful of more executives from saying part-time energy business. It works. Get familiar. Put part-time energy business in your vocabulary. Talk to people. Have conversations, and it's going to work for you. Just do it and do it and do it. Good luck to you.